Alright, if you're in a fresh install of Vizrt T, then you may not have any assets within your graphic hub. And one of those assets you might need is a font. Or you might need to work on a project or a scene, and you need a special font for that project. So this video is all about importing fonts. And to get fonts into Vizrt T, we need to import them into our server or graphic hub here. So to start, what I'm going to do is come into my folder here. I'm just going to create a new folder for this font that we're going to go in. And I have an organized structure here within my server tree. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this folder down here under my fonts folder. And I'm just going to call this Arial because we want to import the Arial font. So we'll click OK and we have a folder here. So next step, I'm going to go into the Import tab. And what we need to make sure first is that we have our fonts selected here. So that's what we want to import. Now we just need to navigate to the folder where we want it. And I'm just going to use our Windows fonts here. So I'm going to go into my C drive, into Windows, and come down here to fonts. And you can see that it lists all of the fonts we have available within our machine now. I'm only going to take one font now. So I'm just going to do this Arial Black. And I'm just going to take this and slide it either in this window, or I can actually slide it in this folder as well. Since my folder is highlighted, I'm just going to let it go within this window. And when we did that, it imported that font. Now we have some options when importing fonts, such as adding blurs and outlines. And to set that up, we need to go into the config setting here, and we have a font/text options. In here, we have a lot of different options that we can set for our fonts. Like for instance, we have a default font encoding. We have our default text orientation that we can set, a default vertical orientation, and so forth. What we're concerned with is our blur import and our outline import. So I want to turn these on: blur 1, blur 2, blur 3, blur 4, outline 1, outline 2, and outline 3. And you need to hit save. And it says these changes will take effect after restarting Viz. So if we go back into our workspace here, and we're going to delete that font, let's go back and re-import our font. So we're going to go to our Import tab again. We're going to highlight our Fonts tab, find the one that we want to import, and drag it over. Now this time you can see, even though this is the only font we drug over, it also now created a blur 1, a blur 2, a blur 3, a blur 4, and an outline 1, outline 2, and an outline 3. Now these additional fonts that it imports can be helpful down the road, because at some point you may want to use one of these for a shadow.